If you're depressed, don't think you're going to come here on vacation and find love.
I was actually traveling. This is only the country where I never left.
They say you did everything by the book.
Successful, but still, I was not happy. Then I went here and I never left actually.
Dominican Republic is considered an emerging economy.
Everything is tranquilo.
Opportunity knocks.
Helping somebody finding a house is for a lot of people like a dream come true.
Get off the resort. What happens when a viral TikTok video turns a tech entrepreneur into a social media sensation? Marvin Van Kalsbeek reveals how a simple birthday wish led him to leave Amsterdam for a life in Punta Cana and launching Annie House. Marvin, welcome to Punta Cana Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about this viral TikTok video.
Yeah, I've not talked to that before actually. So of course my native language is not Spanish. And it was my girlfriend's birthday. So I wanted to surprise her. But because I was so stressed with like bringing her breakfast on bed, I said Feliz Navidad instead of...
You said Feliz Navidad? In
Yeah.
Spanish like that?
In Spanish.
Okay.
And that was just a stupid mistake that I quickly fixed. But then when I was bringing the breakfast, I turned on the music, Feliz Navidad, like the song. And she filmed that and she was laughing in the background and she posted it on TikTok and that went viral. So
Wow.
people thought, and it had I don't know how much now, but about 40 million views.
40 million
Yeah, it was
views.
pretty
Okay,
crazy.
now you know how to make that viral video. Birthday breakfast singing Feliz Navidad.
Exactly.
And it'll work as long as your birthday's not on Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a raw video. I think that's why people resonate with it because it's pretty normal that those type of mistakes happen when you are not from the country, you don't speak Spanish that well. And
So she's Dominican, I'm
Yeah, she's
assuming.
Dominican.
Okay, she's Dominican. So I imagine that probably was pretty hilarious to her.
yeah, definitely.
Pretty
I
hilarious.
make a lot of those mistakes in Spanish.
Okay, so that was when you were here, but you're originally from Amsterdam. So
Yeah, exactly.
tell us how that ended up landing you in Punta Cana.
Yeah,
Tell us.
that I met her here. When I came here, I was single. I was living in Amsterdam. I did everything what you had to do basically to be happy. And for me, it was just a really stressful lifestyle. It was life was all about work. Never really having fun because it's raining outside all the time. All the taxes you have to pay there. So I was doing everything that everybody told me, like my parents, what you have to do to have a nice life. And I was still not happy. So I was even getting, to be honest, in a depression, in a burnout, and was going to a therapist. And I said, I just want to do something completely different because apparently what I'm doing is not making me happy, and that's actually the most important thing. So I decided to just go travel. So, and my therapist actually at the time said, don't do that because then you're walking away from your problems. But I did it anyways.
Yeah, but maybe your problem was where you were.
Yeah,
I mean, think
that was
about
a big
that.
reason, yeah.
We're learning that and we're talking about that a lot is the environment and Punta Cana, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Definitely.
But sometimes you really need to just change your environment.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people can relate with it because when I was in Amsterdam, a lot of my friends also, somebody had a heart monitor or a lot of people had anxiety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And since I moved here, I was actually traveling. I've been to New York, to Asia, to a bunch of countries. This is only the country where I never left.
Right. That's what happens.
Yeah, and here, if I look at, because I have a bunch of friends that I made here, nobody has the slightest of the depression or whatever. So I would not say it's impossible here, but it's definitely much more difficult. A lot more people here around you are more happy, and it lifts up your own mood as well.
So interesting to me, and I want to dig a little deeper into this. How old were you when you left Amsterdam?
I was 29.
Okay,
No.
so in your 20s, already going through the stress of life that traditionally we're used to midlife crisis.
Yeah,
You're in
pretty
your
much.
20s, your friends are stressed out, you're stressed out. Things are different these days with this generation.
Yeah,
and not really this generation, but just in general, that there's so much more stress in life at a younger age. But you had the presence of mind to make a decision to?
Yeah, for me, what was crazy, my career was doing really well. I was able to buy a house. I actually ended up buying a couple houses in the city center of Amsterdam, which it's completely different than here, but there it's like impossible to get a house because it's so expensive. So for me, it really looked like I did everything what I needed to do, basically.
Everything by the book, like
Exactly.
they say, you did everything by the book.
Successful, but still I was not happy. And it was for me the best decision in my life to actually move here. Really one of the best decisions I ever made.
Tell me about coming to that decision, that process to say, I'm out of here.
Yeah, for me, so first I was just traveling. I traveled for a bit more than a year. I stayed 3 months in New York, actually, because I really wanted to experience how it is to live there. I visited a couple of times. But there also, it's a bit more a stressful lifestyle. So I really liked it, but it was not for me for the long term. So because I was in New York, there's a big Latin community. And I had my Cuban barber, and a lot of people that I met were playing Latin music, and I really got into that, like that whole vibe. We have a special Dutch word for it. We call it gezellig. There's no...
Wait a minute. What is the word?
Gezellig.
And that's in which language?
That's Dutch.
Okay, and what does it mean?
There's no literal translation for it, but it's basically like a vibe.
Okay.
It's like cozy. It's like fun. Like it's a mixture of everything. So it's the only Dutch word you should ever know because there's no translation for it. So I actually just like was starting listening to those type of music. Then I was like, let me go there next. And I actually wanted to go to Puerto Rico. Only the direct flight from Amsterdam was way cheaper, like half the price than to Puerto Rico. So then I went here, and yeah, I never left actually. For me, the biggest reason actually why I liked it here so much is not because everything is so perfect, not at all. It's more that it's a beautiful country, and of course the beaches are beautiful and everything. But I feel like it's a country full of opportunities.
Yes.
It's like traveling back in time almost.
Yes. And if you see the opportunities, then you can really take advantage of them. I mean, sometimes the thought could be, oh, this is inconvenient, or at home I have this, or at home I have that.
Exactly, yeah.
But I like that you looked at it as like stepping back, but from an opportunistic standpoint, that you could take opportunities and get it.
A lot of people do that here. Like, I love to hear these stories of a lot of entrepreneurs that just, I know there's somebody that owns the traffic lights, for example, that's not completely government owned. There's somebody that's building it. Well, I don't know if it's really happening. It's all rumors, of course. But somebody's building a train from Punta Cana to Santo Domingo.
Yes, it's real.
Yeah, there's just a lot of infrastructure missing, which creates a lot of opportunity. So if you have that entrepreneurial mindset, you can get a lot of benefits from it.
And you are an entrepreneur yourself.
Actually, in Amsterdam, I had my technology company there. I've been a programmer myself for 15 years. And well, first like for big companies like Philips, Harburg Gedon, a lot of the big companies, a lot of big Dutch companies as well. Started my own company, like hired people, and I still have this technology company now actually. So I still have employees that live in the Netherlands. And this company was doing really well and still is. And with that, I basically started a daughter company to build a housing platform. And first I built a housing platform in the Netherlands, but there's a really competitive space because there's already a housing platform there. And when I came here, I noticed that real estate is a really big market.
Yes,
but there's
it
no
is.
housing platform.
No, there isn't.
Not really. People sell houses on Facebook Marketplace here.
Yes.
So I was like, well, that's maybe something that should happen then, because I already had that experience to build something like that.
So you came here and you stayed.
Yeah.
And you decided to launch a new business from here, taking advantage of some opportunities that you saw here that you could fill.
For me, the first step was because I did not really know how real estate worked here, because it's totally different than in Europe or in America for that matter. So I became a broker for 1 year first.
Okay.
To see how that works. Because there's a lot of things that are different. There's no exclusivity. Everybody sells the same thing basically. Nobody needs to have a license. So for me, it was really interesting to have that experience. And also that most of the people, especially in Punta Cana area, that don't actually live here, they come from outside. So the whole experience of being a broker is like pick them up from the airport,
Yes.
show them around. You're not only showing the house, you're showing the country. So
Yes.
you're basically like a tour guide.
Yes, in a
As you
way.
probably-
Well, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're the translator, you're the driver, the tour guide, the realtor, sometimes the lawyer, the counselor.
Yeah.
Who knows? A little bit of everything
Exactly.
here. And that's some of the difference when you're doing business here and working with people coming from outside is we really take a lot of responsibility to help people really change their lives. They don't know.
Yeah.
In other places, you open the door, they know everything about the area, the school district, how taxes work and everything. And really here
And
we
you
have to explain
answer all the
everything.
questions. Yeah. Exactly. No, but for me, it was a lot of fun actually. Probably for you too, because you've been doing it way
I love
longer
it.
than I do.
I love it.
So yeah, no, for me that was really interesting. Even though I'm not from here, I think also that's why it worked for me pretty well because I understand what the people go through, and probably you have the same thing of how it is and how stressful it can be to move to a different country.
Yes.
But I liked it because you don't have to be all formal. Because with a lot of clients, I just go to the beach and drink a cocktail with them
Yeah.
and stuff. Because that's the life.
That's the lifestyle.
So,
That's what they want to know. They don't
Exactly.
only want to see four walls, but what's it like here? What's the lifestyle like? How easy is it to get to the beach?
Exactly.
How much is a cerveza? You know, those kind of things. And
Yeah.
when all the questions are answered, then usually the client or buyer feels more confident to
Yeah.
make their decision. So you were a realtor for about a year or so. Was the idea to do that or was the idea to learn?
to learn.
Okay.
Really to learn.
But you made some money along the way, it sounds like you did.
I learned about all the construction companies, like made some connection that way as well. But actually, the whole point for me was to build a website to get these clients, and then build on top of this website and make it a platform.
Yes.
And that was always the idea, actually.
Okay. And this was a couple of years ago or?
It's about I think less even, 1.5 years ago.
Okay. So about a year and a half ago. So now you're building your platform.
Yeah.
And the realtors are coming, like we're there, we're on there.
Yeah,
We're really excited about the platform. It works really well. And especially since one of the platforms we used to use went away. So that's opportunity for you.
Definitely.
And how has that been?
Well, that's also what we noticed is as soon as Point to Homes decided to leave, all the brokers started to come in. So we now have, I think, about 12,000 houses now on the platform.
So 12,000 houses on the Anyhouse platform here in the Dominican Republic. So if you want to know what's on the market, now you know where to go.
Exactly, yeah. That's it's the easiest way to find a house instead of going to all the brokers and see what they have available. That's what I did in the beginning, and that's what I wanted to change to make it just easier for people to find a house.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Imagine being part of a thriving real estate market without the overwhelming costs and risks typically associated with property investment. Welcome to the International Property Investors Alliance, where we turn your investment dreams into reality with a groundbreaking approach to group investing. Everyone should have the opportunity to invest in real estate. That is why we've created a platform that allows you to join forces with other like-minded investors, pooling your resources for minimum entry while maximizing your potential returns. Contact us today. Having been here, you're still fairly new, not totally green, but you came here and you stayed. So obviously you liked it, you loved it. There was something about Punta Cana that drew you, but talk about some of the challenges you've had. And I don't know if there are some obstacles that you've had to overcome since you've been here.
Well,
because it can't be all, sunshine.
And you know.
I know.
Yeah, no, of course it's challenging. Like it's a totally different culture. Learning how to deal with people, everything is tranquilo.
Yes.
With most of the people. So also, if you're waiting for something, just have patience. That's like the biggest thing.
Was that hard for you or did you adapt to it?
Yeah, definitely. Because how I used to work in Amsterdam is like, respond on an email at least in a day. And
say that again?
Respond to an email at least in a day.
Oh, yes.
And here you have to wait 3 weeks sometimes.
Yes.
If you even get a reply. So that can be frustrating sometimes. And it's refreshing if you sometimes work with somebody that's really hands-on. And yeah, you still have to be careful, right? Yeah, you've been here for a long time. So
Yeah,
you
18 years now and counting.
So you know this better, but I hear a lot of stories from people that it used to be much worse.
I sometimes joke that it was like covered wagons. You know, the wheel would break off of the wagon. But we've come a long way. And really, for me, I was open to a challenge. So
Exactly.
I
That's a nice
came
thing.
knowing that maybe it wouldn't be easy, but that I would figure it out. But, you know, someone like you who just came not even really having anything in mind, but there were some hard times. There were some really rough times that I had to get over. But when I got to different crossroads, and there have been many times I've been at a crossroads like, wait a minute here. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay? Do I go? And I would sit and think about where would I go? Okay, where do I go? And I always drew a blank.
What for you has been the biggest change? Like what has been better? Because like I can imagine that you still always have to be careful, right? Because you like, and that's not especially with Dominican Republic, but you have people like, what I realize a lot is that you have a lot of people here that don't make a lot of money. So they are like tigres, what they say is like they are hustling, and for example, like with you're doing construction, like getting a piece of land. You have to really make sure that there is a title.
You have to be careful. Yeah, the tigres, and for those of you who don't know, tigre is tiger, and it just means, like you said, a hustler. Like somebody who's just trying to...
It can be a positive tigre or a negative.
It can be a positive or negative thing. And what I normally tell people is when you come here, you know, don't be afraid. You don't have to be afraid, but be a little bit careful of the first people who approach you.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they see you before you see them. They know you before you know them. So they will come to you. Those are the people you have to be careful of. So many times I advise people that if they're looking for services, if they're looking for help, or if they're looking for whatever they may need, to go seek that and to get referrals from people. Like, you know, because somebody will come up to you and say, hey, what do you need? And you can say, oh, I need this. Oh, I know somebody. Well, you be careful. That's when you want to be careful.
I have everything you need.
Yeah, you know, I know somebody. I know a friend. No, you know, no. If you need something, if you need a service, if you need your car repaired, or to buy a car, or to buy a property or whatever, you go out there and find a person or get a referral. Even better.
That's
the best thing is to say, hey, do you know somebody? And there are expat groups around that are in WhatsApp groups or even on Facebook groups, and go there and say, hey, who has a referral for this? Or is there a trusted person for that? And then you will be in better shape, because nobody is going to recommend a tigre. People don't recommend tigres.
No, exactly. That's always the best way. Actually, for me, now that I think about it, I think that was the biggest challenge for me as well when I got here. Not necessarily that I had to face it, because I used to travel a lot, and it's not only Dominican Republic. Actually, for me, it's not too bad here, because usually if you walk on the beach and somebody wants to sell you cigars, you tell them no one time and
that's it.
That's it. You don't have to tell them 5 times.
Yes.
So it's not too bad. But for me, what I noticed is when I wanted to get the brokers on the platform, I just went to their offices, knocked on the door, and they did not trust it because I was approaching them. And they're used to having that way of, if somebody comes to me to offer me something for free, I don't trust it.
Because that's when you may want to be careful. So what you do is you go say, hey, do you know somebody? Or can you give me a name? Or can you refer me to some other brokers? And then through referral, then you know there's less concern. So you were kind of on the other side. They looked at you as if you were a tigre.
Yeah.
But you don't look like a tigre.
It can be a tigre in a good way. Like
in a good way, okay.
Because I go knock on doors, so that's also kind of a tigre way. But I'm really just, especially in the beginning, any house doesn't have any brokers, so there needed to be brokers in order for the platform to work. It's like the chicken and egg problem.
So how did you get your first brokers?
So for the first, I just approached all the big ones, and I just offered it to them for free. So it's basically saying, can I put your house on the platform, and can I do that for free? And that's for them free promotion. So yeah, it's basically a no-brainer why wouldn't they do that?
Right.
So
Right.
that was quite easy, actually. And then when the news came from that point to home was leaving, um, people were already...
Opportunity.
Yeah,
Opportunity
then,
knocks.
Then it went easier because a bunch of brokers were already on Anyhouse, and a lot of them were stressed because a lot of the clients came through that platform, and then they were talking positive. No, but have you tried Anyhouse? And then I did not have to knock on doors, so it went easier from that point.
Great, great. And so you're building this platform. It's continuing to evolve. Obviously, technology is always evolving all the time. Where do you see yourself taking the platform?
So we're now actually expanding to Curacao and Mexico.
Curacao and Mexico.
Yeah.
Why Curacao? Of all countries.
Curacao is easy because it's a Dutch colony. So
it's a Dutch colony.
Speak
Okay.
Dutch there. For me, that's easy.
Okay.
And they don't really have platform there right now. So I'm looking at the countries. Well, Mexico has a platform, right? But we have some brokers here that also sell there. So their houses are already on it, actually. And really, that's big there as well. So that makes sense. I don't think we're going to invest a lot in marketing there. But my big goal, to tell you like a 5 or 10 year dream, is to be like an Airbnb but for houses to buy or rent for long term.
Wow.
Because just like for me, it doesn't really matter in which country. I don't necessarily have to look in my own country, and I might be interested in something in Bali or in Dubai or in Dominican Republic. Those are usually the people go to one of those countries. And it would be great to have a platform where you can look at all of them.
Yes. Go to one platform and find properties in various countries.
Exactly, and compare prices. It's what I used to do with flights even. I used to use like Skyscanner of Google Flights or whatever. And I just filtered on the cheapest price. And that was the country that I chose to go to. A house is, of course, a bigger decision than that. But at least it gives people a bit more options.
Yes.
And what we notice in the Netherlands, that's why I started the platform there as well, is that we have a lot of people that live close to the border. And we have one platform there that's popular, but it's really just the houses stop at the border.
Oh.
So if you're living in the Netherlands and you're close to Belgium, but you don't mind actually in which country you live, you have to look still on 2 different platforms to figure out what is available.
Okay, so in Europe, there is no platform that is
For the whole
throughout Europe.
continent? No.
So it's by country.
Yeah, you have some platforms that are trying to do it, right? You even have platforms that try to do it worldwide, but it's really difficult. And the biggest obstacle is that it's so much data. There's so many houses available. For example, in the Netherlands, it's already 16,000 rental house available. Yes, but I think in total, so to narrow it down, what we did is we built an AI robot that gathers all the data. And to try to not get it too complicated, but we already been gathering data a lot, but we publish only the thing that we have consent of publishing.
Okay.
But that's also the value. So we don't make a lot of money on the platform right now, but if we know all the housing information in the world,
That's valuable.
that's pretty valuable.
Yes.
So that's what I'm aiming for, investing a lot of money. Probably in the future, maybe I'll make some money from it, but so far it's a bigger goal. And for me, I'm really passionate about real estate and technology. So for me, it's the perfect combination. And I don't know if it's for you the same, but helping somebody finding a house is for a lot of people like a dream come true.
Yes.
If you find a dream home for them.
Yes, it is. And it's a dream on all sides because they're able to accomplish their dream. We help them, we walk them through the process, help them to avoid pitfalls and turning into a nightmare.
Have the nice Dominican experience.
Yes, as much as we can. And also to help them acclimate to the culture. That's actually one of the reasons that I decided to do this podcast was to be able to provide perspectives, information, and a point of view. It's not always just beautiful. There is a transition. There are things to adapt to. The same thing that we really love about this area in Punta Cana, it's a vibe, it's relaxing. That is, on the flip side, one of the biggest challenges
definitely.
is that everything is relaxed and maybe it'll take 3 weeks to get a reply for that email instead of 1 day.
Yeah.
But the stress level and the tension level definitely is not the same.
For me, a podcast like this really helps. I listen to it, like I told you, on the side while I'm working on any house, just to listen to it, because it's just great to hear from all the like business people or just people with an experience here.
Yes.
Because you learn from it. I learn things here every day.
I do too.
It's Spanish, because when I came here I didn't know a word of Spanish, and now it's going way better, but still not fluent. But also like how the people are here. The mindset is a little bit different in any ways, because the expat community is so diverse here.
Yes.
Like I have Russian friends, Ecuadorian, Dominican. People are from all over the world here, which is really interesting for me. It's the same in Amsterdam, basically, like a big multicultural city almost.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have the different perspectives, the different cultures
Definitely.
here, and that has been a very good experience for me. I mean, I grew up, a lot of people know my story, I'm an Army brat, I moved all over the world, so I was used to being in environments with different people, adapting to environments, and for me that was a very good experience.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that for so many people it is a good experience, and for those people who are at home who maybe have never left their city, maybe never left their parents' house, maybe are afraid to go out and do something different or move to a foreign country, what would you say to them if they are there and they're just there like... Dreaming of real estate investment but worried about the costs? At International Property Investors Alliance, we make it simple. Bring your group or let us match you with like-minded investors to pool resources and invest with minimal entry costs. Enjoy 8 to 10% annual returns with your investment fully managed and flexible options to buy or sell shares. Join us today and invest with confidence.
First, I would anyways recommend to come and visit, because I don't think it's a country for everybody necessarily. But come here. If you want to go to a resort, then leave the resort. That's definitely something. Leave the resort.
So get off the resort.
Yeah.
Get off the resort.
The resort will tell you that it's dangerous outside the resort, but that's a total lie. They just want you to spend more money in the resort. And yeah, just get to know people. There's so many different communities here, like Dominican people. Even in Punta Cana, go to the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful there. Besides just seeing beautiful beaches, because those are plenty here. But there's beautiful jungles as well to explore. So that's what I would do. And I'm a big fan of not being in your comfort zone the whole time. For me, that's something that I feel stuck then. And that's something you have to get used to. I don't know, it has to do with confidence. As soon as you're used to not being in your comfort zone a lot of time, then you have the feeling that you're growing, and it can be kind of addictive.
Nice.
In a way.
Nice. So get out of your comfort zone and don't think of it as being uncomfortable. Think of it as you're growing.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you're growing, that's a good thing.
Yeah, those are with the small things, right? Because I did not speak a word of Spanish when I came here.
And how are you now? Tu español?
Es bueno.
Okay.
Pero no, yo no hablar mucho, pero entiendo mucho.
That's good. You don't speak much, but you understand.
I still say Feliz Navidad on a birthday sometimes, so I make the mistakes. But that's also the thing, at least I'm trying, right?
Yes.
And that's how you learn as well. Before I had a car here, I was taking a lot of Uber rides and was speaking to the Uber drivers. And that's and at one point I was really able to have conversations with them, and I was like, oh, this is going pretty well. And that's so much fun if you see yourself growing in that way.
And you're European, so I know all Europeans have a whole bunch of, like a whole handful of languages. How many do you speak?
Oh, not that much actually. Well, now I can put Spanish there, kind of. Dutch, a little bit German. And English, of course.
Well, that's 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you're doing good with 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was not a really big school kid, so usually they also teach French and Spanish in school if you're like on a higher level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not.
So he wasn't a very involved with school. That's why he only speaks 4 languages, right? That's funny. No, but Europeans usually come with like so many
Well,
languages.
we watch Netflix in English, of course, so that's how we learn English. It's not necessarily from the school.
Okay.
So yeah.
And your English is great.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, yes. So you did say that Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Who is it not for?
I think people just want to have a simple life. So if you really like to live just comfortable all the time, then it might not be ideal. Maybe in a few years, but like I don't mind if you have a storm and you don't have electricity for a day, for example.
Right.
And that happens here. That's pretty normal. So it's not all like sunshine. It's not all perfect. So yeah, I think those type of things.
So people who really are fixated on creature comforts might not do well in Punta Cana.
Yeah, and if you really like, if it's a lot of value to you that you order something on Amazon and it's there tomorrow, that also is not happening anytime soon.
Right. Because here it could take a few days, maybe a week, more or less.
Depends which service you use.
Yeah, but it's not the next day.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Those type of things. And
well, that's good to know, because sometimes I get the feedback is like, everything is not always perfect. So what's not perfect? So we have to share some of those things.
Yeah.
Because you said it was if you like to be comfortable. But many people live here very comfortably, but it's those creature comforts.
It depends on what you find comfortable, right?
Yes.
Because if you're most comfortable with having a cocktail on the beach, it's the perfect country for you.
Exactly. If you're most comfortable never having to be cold and freeze your butt off during the winter.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam, we always take the bicycle to everywhere. And if you don't like driving a bicycle through the rain, you never have to.
You're not going to be in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think those are really good points, because Dominican Republic is considered an emerging economy. We're growing. We definitely don't have as many of the inconveniences that we had back when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Not by a long shot.
Not even
because
the highway, right?
Oh my God. The highway wasn't even here.
Yeah.
There was no highway. There were 2 gas stations. Half the time they didn't have gas.
No
it was
nothing.
no supermarkets at all,
Yeah.
just the little mini markets. I would have people who would come and visit, and they would ask me, what can I bring for you? And they would bring my favorite soap, Oil of Olay soap, because I was ordering soap, but now you can find those kind of things. No. It's more and more and more convenient, but still emerging, still evolving, and there are still some inconveniences, but it's like an adventure.
Yeah, you still have that. So
Yes.
if you actually like that, to be really back in the history, you can still go live in beaches.
Yeah, actually, you just drive down the street and you drive into history.
Yeah.
Really, I tell you what, talking about history, when I first visited my husband's family, I literally felt like I was in a history book, because it was like outhouse, no electricity, no running water, and I really couldn't believe it. I was beside myself, like, in this day and age, but I grew up in first world countries. So for me, I didn't realize, and there are people really still living like that today, actually.
In the beginning as well, I had an apartment where there was no hot water. For me, that was really something to get used to.
Yeah, no hot water. Woo!
Yeah. So later, actually, I bought in the supermarket, you have those electricity shower heads that you can plug in, and then you have hot water.
Yeah, it heats the water when it comes through,
exactly.
right?
So right at that
As
moment,
it's going through the tube.
Yeah, but you get used to it as well, and I think it's even better for your skin. So it's not all too bad, and you save electricity costs. So
yeah. See, I love the way you look at the bright side. You're like, well, cold water is good for your skin. You save on the electricity. Hey, look at the bright side of things.
Yeah.
And I tell you something. You really have a great energy. Like
Thank
you
you.
smile, you're talking in a very positive way, and to hear that when you left, you were leaving kind of a depression scenario, but on paper you had every success. Like you said, you checked everything off the box. Great job. You own your houses.
Yeah.
You're young. You're successful. You're doing all of this, and on paper it's like perfect, but in reality,
For me,
you
it's
were not.
crazy to think back on it. Like I'm now the happiest I ever been. I was able to find my dream woman here.
Wow.
Scoring some points.
We gotta talk about love. Wait a minute. Let's talk about love.
So I love. I was able to find my dream woman here. It's a little bit. She's Dominican, so of course a lot of cultural differences. But yeah, like I said, I love the country. So I also love this woman. Like just gezellig, like I said before.
That word, now I know that
Gezellig.
Dutch word that doesn't translate, but it just means
Yeah.
good stuff.
Exactly. Just
Okay.
a good vibe.
Yes.
Like fiesta, like
Yes.
everything like positive.
Yes.
So yeah, now having a baby on the way. Even.
What?
Yeah.
So you're gonna be a
Be
daddy?
a dad. Yeah.
Okay, so when is the baby due?
And January,
Whoa. Okay, so you're having a boy or a girl?
boy.
Okay. Wow. Do you have a name?
Maven.
Maven.
Yeah.
Where did you get that name from?
So I wanted to have something a little bit similar to my own name, like Marvin,
Oh.
Maven. That's one thing. And actually, I don't know how we stumbled on it, but we just Maven. It sounded cool, and then we googled what it means, and it basically means an expert in something.
Ooh,
So that's always, I think, something I strive for.
like a
Being-
destiny. Give them a
Yeah,
destiny.
like,
like
give them a purpose, like become in one thing really good. And if you then want to expand in doing other things, I think also always get an expertise in something, and then you can branch out. So I really liked the name. It really resonated with me.
Wow. And how did you meet? Real estate is like pizza, better when shared. At IPIA, you don't need the whole pie, just your slice. Invest in property by pooling resources with others. You bring the toppings, we bring the oven. Choose your property, join a group, and watch the returns. 8 to 10% annually. Roll in like a fresh pizza delivery.
Actually, through Tinder.
Okay.
So that's a pretty simple story.
Yeah.
And yeah, she just downloaded it for like 5 minutes, she told me. And she was here on holiday because she lived in Santo Domingo. And then she opened it, and I was the first one there. And then,
The rest is history.
yeah, exactly. And we actually spoke for 3 months because I went back to the Netherlands to sell one of my houses there to reinvest it here. And then I came back, I bought a car, then drove all the way to Santo Domingo. Then we had our first date, and then just kept on dating. And
Wow.
now we're living here together in Cocotal. And
Beautiful.
having a baby. So yeah.
That is a happy story. That is a beautiful story. So, cultural differences.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
have to ask. Tell us about some of the cultural differences.
Oh, that's a lot. So Dutch people are known for being really direct. Dominican people also kind of. So that went pretty okay. Yeah. What else? There is. I'm trying to not be like become somebody that's like racist here for the common. the
No,
common
listen.
things.
Tell your story.
My story
Your
is-
story.
yeah.
What are the cultural differences that you are dealing with in your relationship?
What I noticed as well is people like drama here.
Good. Yes.
Because even the podcasts that are Dominican, they are usually about drama things.
Yes.
Drama about other famous people.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that. Like, the telenovelas, like the scandals, the
Yeah.
pleitos, they say, like, I would definitely agree that
Lot
that's
of,
just a lot more animation. My husband is Dominican. So I was just interested in hearing your perspective because we had to deal with a lot of cultural differences too.
What was it for you? Yeah.
Machismo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my husband, he's Dominican, We met 15 years ago. We went through a lot of that because I am an independent woman. You know, I got my degree, I make my own money,
Yeah.
And he's a Dominican, Latin man. Like the woman
Wants
is
to be the man in the house.
right, you know, cook and clean and rub my feet, really. And I mean, we didn't start that way, and it wasn't going to go that way. But, you know, we learned how to compromise. We have compromised,
That's what
both
it's all
of us.
about.
And that is what it's all about. So for me, what I had to do was to look at him for who he was, understand where he came from. That's why when I went to go visit his parents, it was like, okay, that's why he doesn't throw anything in the garbage. Mm-hmm. Because at their house, there's no garbage can.
Yeah.
They're drinking a drink out on the stoop and they get done with it and they just leave it there. And
later somebody burns it somewhere.
The mom, she comes and she sweeps it up with the broom that's made out of like tree branches and puts it all away because they don't, you know, there's no garbage can. Different things like that helped me to understand, okay, this is why he doesn't put anything in the garbage or different things like that. And then I learned how to say, you know what, I'm not going to make a big deal if he doesn't. I'll pick it up or somebody will pick it up. And just really understanding where they come from. Like you say, the parents. You go all the way back to how they grew up to understand who they are. And then you grow together.
And for her, so she never been to the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. So I know her culture quite well now, how things work. I'm living here. So, but she never been to my country. And it's such a culture shock. When I go back as well, it's a shock
for you too, right? Like a little bit.
Even now, if I go back, I always immediately miss Dominican Republic. I'm like, I have to pack these groceries myself. Or
exactly. I have to do things on my own.
Get out my car to get my own gas. Stuff.
We get spoiled.
We get really spoiled.
This is one of the reasons that I know that I will not be moving back to the States, let's say.
Yeah.
And it could be trivial, but for me, it's real, is because the services and all the help that's here, you get really used to it.
Yeah.
Having somebody to help you in the house,
that's
to
also,
cook.
That's a big thing.
Clean.
I never do any dishes anymore.
Right. How do you like that?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think anyways, if I did not have a cleaner, still my woman would do everything.
Yeah.
Because that's also in the culture and that's a really positive thing. I like that because I'm really all about career and like focusing on my work.
Yes.
But yeah, we do have a cleaner because she's pregnant as well. So definitely that's something that she can do.
And why not? If you can, why not? Yeah. And it provides a job for somebody too, right? They're looking for a job and they get to work.
Almost the cleaner becomes part of your family in a way. And now the whole thing, this is a whole other topic, but the whole thing that's happening with people from Haiti and stuff, it's becoming more direct that you think about like these people are just looking for a better life and they really appreciate having the job. And you pay them for them, it's a lot of money. For us, it's not a lot of money.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation.
I love that you say that. It is a win-win situation. And sometimes I know that people say, oh my gosh, that's crazy. They project their own perspective on the situation.
Yeah.
But we know what the situation is here. And what we pay, maybe it's a good price for us and it's a good price for them.
Exactly.
And goes a long way. They can take care of their families and they're there to provide a service that we appreciate. So I like that she would do the dishes because this is what it is like in the Dominican Republic, the traditional roles.
Yeah.
My husband with the machismo, I'm going to bring home the bacon. He opens the doors or carries everything heavy. If we do go out and buy things or go to the mall and get a bunch of bags, I don't have to take a bunch of bags in the house. I used to always carry all the bags, but now it's kind of nice to grab my purse if I'm tired. No, I'm serious. And it's like, you know what? Thank you very much.
I know how it feels to have like 20 bags burning into your
and I appreciate that. So he never says, are you going to carry the bags? Or why aren't you carrying bags? Or I carried half the bags, you carry the other half. It's like, no, he's going to carry the bags or lift the heavy things or do whatever. And I appreciate that. So we have to adapt a little bit. And to me, being American, I know you're Dutch, so you're from a different side of the world with different traditions. But as an American, a lot of times we are so hung up on equality. And I say hung up, but it's like, no, you know, I'm going to pay for half of the dinner and you're going to pay for half of the dinner because look, if he wants to pay, thank you.
That's not normal here. That's also when I was still single, when I was like just dating. you cannot expect not to pay for them.
You're gonna pay.
You need to pay.
Right.
So, and yeah, I was even brought up with my parents almost doing everything 50-50.
Yeah.
So that's for me also completely different. But I'm actually really fine with it because it's more of a traditional dynamic.
Yes, it is.
Which I learned to appreciate much more because I like to not do dishes and focus on my career and building any house.
And it's okay.
Yeah, that makes me much more happy. And in more of the Western world, you have the whole, like, there's some parts of feminism I really agree with, but there's some parts that I'm like, don't necessarily agree in because we still have natural instincts.
Yes.
And I think women by themselves are more nurturing, more caring.
Yes.
And I see with my woman now is that that's her way of showing love.
Yes.
And that's also the way I like to receive love. So when she brings me a plate full of delicious Dominican food, I'm super happy. And it makes her happy as well. So, I like that whole traditional
That's beautiful.
in the relationship.
I do too. And I think that's good. And I appreciate hearing your story. So happy that you're happy and you found love here and that you have changed your life because you changed your environment, really.
I think that's also first, you need to be happy to be able to find that perfect partner for you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that all worked out that way.
Yes. So if you're depressed, don't think you're going to come here on vacation and find love. Move first, then get happy, and then love will find you, right? If you look at it, that could be the formula. You really do have to be in a good place yourself first. Definitely. And you found yourself in a good place. You found love. Now you're going to be a father. You're running your business. And I think all of that is really great. Really happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ever thought about real estate investing with your group chat? At IPIA, we turn your friends into property co-owners. Bring your crew or let us connect you with a group. Pool your resources and invest in real estate. You'll get big returns without the big investment. Plus, we handle the hard work so you can focus on the group chat. How has living in Punta Cana influenced your approach to business and life?
It's completely different, of course, because the whole culture is different. People, in a first instinct, they don't trust it if you come to them with something that can benefit. Because I like to, in business, always create a win-win situation. And I noticed that people were like, well, what is the catch? And if I told them there's no catch, they still don't trust it. So it's almost you have to just really network here and know people, and then somebody talks about you and then approach them. That's way better way of doing it. So that's completely different. And of course, with any house itself, because there's no exclusivity, and you have a big difference here with quality of brokers. So some brokers that I meet, you for example, are like really nice people, some people that you can trust. But I always try to advise the people to really do your due diligence, really look at, okay, is this a good broker? Do they have a track record? Because I hear so many stories still that people get scammed almost, or at least maybe it's not the broker's fault, but the broker also does not do any check for you. They just care about that commission. So that's something that I'm also constantly thinking on of how to make better. How to.
Well, we're going to be talking about that because I have ideas. Stay tuned for a collaboration here.
That would be great because I'm scratching my head, and I don't think the politics here will change that anytime soon to make that better. So.
Well, I tell you something funny. When I first moved here back in 2006, I was told that they were going to institute licensing for realtors. And I was terrified because I knew that the test would be in Spanish and I could not speak any Spanish. And I thought, oh, snap.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take this test, get a license, and I can't speak Spanish. Well, I speak Spanish now. And
still no license.
I'm ready for the test. I'm ready. When the test comes, I will be ready to take that test. We don't have to wait for them, though. We don't have to wait for them.
We can. A license is the. I know, that's an American way. In Europe, they don't have licensing.
Oh no!
But still, nothing bad happened because they're still held responsible to a certain degree.
Right.
So by law, they're responsible for things.
Okay.
So they don't need the licensing per se.
But they're responsible.
Yeah.
Okay. There are consequences.
Yeah. And here there is none.
No.
So that's important for people to know, especially like even if you buy a piece of land, you can go away with a promise of sale, or like you have Teslinde, all these things you need to really dive into. What does it mean? Like a title for a land, it's so difficult. Even if you have a construction, are the permissions for the land good enough? That's also something important, because
Yes.
some of them, they just want to make commission, and they even start a construction on a land where they don't have the permission to build there, actually. So a lot of these stories, though, they don't happen as often. And if you do work with the right brokers, it won't happen probably. But just always do your background check and ask questions a lot.
Yes.
I think that's really important
Yes.
for people.
Yes. And all properties are not good properties.
Exactly.
Just because the property is on the internet does not mean that you should buy it. So be careful. Be a little bit careful out there.
Yeah.
And I like your advice. Like, make sure you're working with a good broker.
Yeah.
And they will know. And I would say even make sure you work with somebody who's been around for a while, because these days we have everybody coming from everywhere. It's like they're descending upon Punta Cana, and everybody's a realtor. And if they don't have history and experience, even if they have the best of intentions, they may not know. So be careful, because the brokers who have been around for a while, we know what to look for. We know the questions to ask, because there's no book that tells you what's right or wrong, or what's good or bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and we see that on analytics on any house as well, that most people are interested in just the cheapest option.
yes,
Because they just want, normally people just want a holiday home.
yes,
So if they can buy it cash, don't have to do with a mortgage, then that's what they will go for.
yeah,
But that's not necessarily the best options.
No.
Like I would always go with a construction company, for example, that has been around,
yes,
that has the experience, because there's just a lot of problems. It can be like permits, or it can be just with the workers that get deported, and like how to deal with that, and material costs that go up. There's a lot of things.
we're
that
dealing
come
with
it.
everything.
Yeah.
And I tell you something.
You know probably all the struggles.
Well, yeah, I'm a builder, and we've gone through all of that. And I would say that even some of the big reputable builders, we go through a lot of BS, because sometimes you just have to get through the system that has a lot of BS. So imagine somebody who doesn't have experience, or doesn't have the longevity, or doesn't have the commitment to the area to stick through the problems, or to work through the problems.
Other people that can solve that issue for
Yeah,
you.
sometimes you have to know somebody. I mean, we've had to make some phone calls. Like,
course,
hey, my cousin's a senator over here. I mean, it's just a reality. And so sometimes you do need to find other ways to get things done. And brand new builders are not going to know that. Brand new brokers are not going to know that. They may step in a bunch of piles of poo, and then their clients will go through it with them. And I'm not saying that things don't get resolved, but sometimes they can take a lot of time.
If there's a delay, that's not the worst. That happens
Yes,
a lot.
a lot.
As long as the apartment gets there at one point. That's important.
Yeah, you have to know that you're going to get to the end of the rainbow.
Exactly.
You know, that they're not going to just not show up one day, or get on a one-way flight and be like, I'm out of here, I can't deal with this, the rigmarole, the red tape. So I think that your platform can really be a beacon of light for those folks. And we'll be talking about some things that we can do to really help with that.
Yeah,
for sure. So as a part of the podcast, we always take a question from our subscribers. So pick one of these questions and I will ask.
Sure.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, what service or platform would you create next if you would recommend someone else who is thinking about starting a tech business in Punta Cana?
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I have a bunch of ideas, actually. Sometimes I wish I had more time
Yeah.
to do a lot of other things, like technology-wise. So we already have Uber, we have Uber Eats, we have like apps like that. I don't know if I would do the technology thing necessarily, but I think like delivery is something that could be helped a lot. Or even maybe just an app for jobs.
An app for jobs?
Jobs, I think that's a good one. like to find a cleaner, to find like a plumber or whatever, like somebody who can do electricity, fixing your house. Like I now always get those through other people, just asking around. And I think an app, I think a lot of people are looking for work because I know a lot of people that I work with, they are just going from project to project. So I think a lot of people are looking for work, and a lot of people find it difficult to find the people that can do the work. For example, if your refrigerator breaks, then I usually ask my friends, like, do you know somebody that can fix a machine? So I think that could be something that could work.
I love that idea. I've actually had that in mind.
Yeah.
So that is so interesting. So if you are out there at home right now and you are in the tech industry and you are looking for a project, you want to come to Punta Cana, or maybe not yet, but do some business here in Punta Cana, then hit me up, because really, I think that that's a great idea. I don't know if that's something that's of interest to you, or if you're like knee deep into the real estate. So this is an idea, and this is literally a great idea, because right now I'm working with veterans. That's one of my new projects. And many veterans are looking to move here, and they're all saying, I want to work.
Yeah.
And veterans are very structured, responsible. And I'm sitting here like, you know what? We need a platform.
I had the same with clients that when I was still a broker that came here, they said, I also want to still work. I'm not retired yet. I'm still young. So what would you recommend me doing? And I think there's so many things that you can do here.
There's so many. We just need to make that connection. Let's find a way to make that connection. Let's make that connection. Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great idea. And that's an idea that I've had too. So got to figure that out. That's great. So how do folks find you?
So people can look at any house, of course, if they're interested in looking for a house, actually, because you are part of the Any House family now. Your houses are on it as well.
Any House.
I got you a little gift.
Encuentra tu nuevo hogar. Find your new home. So Any House. I love it. Thank you so much. Wow. Let's see. Oh, some gifts in there too. Have to check those out. So Any House.
Yeah. So that's most important thing. I always see I'm just behind the scenes. I'm not that important. But if you want to follow my story, then you can follow me on TikTok or Instagram, Marvin VK. I post there just things I'm doing. I'm also doing some construction in the mountains, so that could be interesting for people to maybe follow.
Okay.
Through that, I think you can also find my the viral TikTok video, actually.
Yes, I want to see it. 40 million. Oh my goodness, and have a good laugh.
It was even in a newspaper in Colombia, and
really,
it went pretty crazy.
Wow,
so
amazing.
I did not think to be known for that. So it's
but now you're famous for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Punta Cana podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the baby that you have.